Gogeta actually saved Dragon Ball Legends. I'm not even joking either. This festival 2025, if they did not drop Gogeta, what else would it have been? I know Gogeta right now feeling like Light Yagami. There was no other way. The world had to be fixed.
There was no other way. The world had to be fixed.
There's a couple guys that are gonna say, he's not even that great. He didn't do much. But let's really think about the state Dragon Ball Legends was in pre-festival 2025. Though, I will give the manga characters a lot of props. Manga Goku and Manga Gohan put in a lot of work to change the atmosphere in the Dragon Ball Legends community. But prior to that, the Dragon Ball Legends community, the game itself, was in the depths of hell. Every content creator was posting videos about how Dragon Ball Legends is going downhill. Every single person in the community was feeling like the game is pretty much on its last legs. People consistently talking about end of service, which I don't personally believe will be coming anytime soon. I've already mentioned this before, but just the fact that it's lined up for Battle Hour 2026, we've at least got until 2027. So don't even worry about the game ending anytime soon. But the fact that people were trying to spin that narrative as if that could come anytime soon is crazy work, and that shows that the developers weren't doing the best job with the condition of the game based on the player base's reception. And honestly, they've cleaned up. They've done a lot just in this festival and pre-festival to make the game feel like a better playing experience. But how did this happen? How did we do such a 180? Let me break it down for you guys, because they've done a clean job very subtly, but they pulled it off well. So the beginning of them cleaning up their act starts pre-festival 2025, even though the festival is really where we hit the peak of, okay, they are somewhat redeemed, but for a lot of people, they're doing a good job right now. Let's talk about the 40th Dragon Ball anniversary, where they decided to drop these manga characters. We got Goku and Super Saiyan Gohan, also alongside the event that followed with the collection of the manga volumes. Now, this whole thing here really brought Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Legends in its purest form. Yes, Dragon Ball Legends is obviously a Dragon Ball game, so we're seeing Dragon Ball day in, day out. But that's not what I mean. The collection of the manga volumes is slightly different. The feeling it gives is slightly different. It's not something we've ever had in the game before. People love collectibles, generally speaking. It's part of the reason why a lot of us play this game. We want to collect our favorite characters or the hype characters that are from the franchise. But when we have to collect these volumes that really don't do anything, besides from having a pure aesthetic value, it's like, wow, we can see what the franchise is built off of in game and collect the series for our own keeping. Not just that though, there's also two playable characters that have never been seen before in any other faction of the Dragon Ball franchise. Goku with pink Nimbus, only been seen on the cover, and Gohan in regular clothes while also Super Saiyan. This is super unique, one of one, and the only place you can get this is Dragon Ball Legends. Even if you don't care to collect the characters per se, visually and content wise, this is a big move, and it's something you can definitely appreciate if you are a genuine Dragon Ball fan, which has made all of the Legends community really feel like, yeah, this is good, there's content, I can have fun, and I can collect what I love most. I think it really needs to be emphasized how valuable the 40th Dragon Ball anniversary campaign that they did before the festival actually was for the overall atmosphere in the Dragon Ball Legends community. It done so much, because to a degree, it separated the idea of Dragon Ball Legends just being a game versus the franchise we all love and enjoy, which is why we're playing the game in the first place. Now let's talk about the festival 2025 itself. The start, part 1, we got Super Gogeta and Super Janemba, but a word I want to emphasize for this part 1 is simplicity. They didn't do anything over the top for this festival part 1, and I'm not crazy to say that, and specifically I'm talking about the characters. Obviously, there is one thing that I do think is actually special, but I'll get to that later. The characters themselves are not anything special. Super Gogeta, he's special in his own right, but that's because he's Gogeta, not necessarily because he has anything to offer that we haven't seen before. Sure, his animation is somewhat one of one, but it wasn't super spectacular. It's only super spectacular because it's Gogeta, and even then, there are a lot of people in the community that are bored of the Fusion Warrior idea. Nonetheless, his animation animation is really good. I would say at a bare minimum 8 out of 10, but the idea here is they could have done better. Janemba's animation is really good. Some might even say it's better than Gogeta's, and he's very obviously the less popular character. So the fact that they could make him shine too animation wise, aesthetically, good job on them. The reveal, very simple as well. They drop the characters, they show us the events, they tell us what's coming up, giving us chrono crystals, and then they cut. That was it. There was nothing else left. They didn't go over the top with starting this festival 2025, and for some reason it felt great. It felt perfect. Again, they could have done a lot more, but it was just enough. It's what we needed. It's what almost most of us wanted. But why would that feel good if they could have gave us a lot more? Well, I think it's the idea that they've promised us, or given us this idea that the 7th year was going to be so much more, and throughout them dropping this whole year, it really hasn't felt like that. Out of all years, the 7th year, which they've been hyping up, is one of the years where the Dragon Ball Legends community has felt the game has been at its lowest. That's quite contradicting. The 7th anniversary in itself, a lot of people did enjoy, don't get it twisted. A lot of people didn't enjoy as well. And I think if a lot of people don't enjoy, the idea that a lot of people can have that conversation in itself pushes the fact that the celebration wasn't good enough. When something is great, there isn't a discourse of if it was good. The conversation doesn't even get had because nobody wants to have the conversation, because everybody unanimously agrees it isn't necessary. But if the conversation has to even be mentioned, you should know from the jump you're not good enough. It wasn't good enough, and as a result, the year kind of went downhill. But with the Festival 2025, they gave us the bread and butter that they've been using for the past 7 years. Fusion Warrior formula, hypest thing that the Dragon Ball franchise can offer if it's not Goku, because it's the fusion of the protagonist and deuteragonist, Goku and Vegeta. I think a lot of people downplay Fusion Warriors to say, oh, well, it's just a character that had a hype moment for about 30 minutes. Bro, it's literally the main character and the second most valuable character of the franchise in one character. You could even say it's a more valuable character than the main character of the series. That's how serious Fusion Warriors are to the franchise. So of course, undoubtedly, they're gonna be hype. They're gonna have hype moments. And pulling one of these out gives them the safe open layup, open goal to have the celebration start with a bang. From there, they just have to get the events okay. And honestly, they've done a good job. Not a great job. Again, they could have done better, but they did enough to make us feel like, alright, cool, this game can be played and I can try and get the new characters. And that honestly is fulfilling a lot of us in the Dragon Ball Legends community. Now, I don't think we should get too ahead of ourselves. I do think Gogeta genuinely saved Dragon Ball Legends, because if he didn't drop, the conversations we'd be having right now might be very dark. Very dark. The devs, there will be pressure on them. I'm not gonna lie. They might not feel it right now, but for sure, there will be pressure on them, and the player base would definitely be voicing that. So shout out to the developers for producing a good festival part 1. But you see how I emphasized the part 1? We still got part 2 and we still got part 3. We kind of need to see how the whole festival will go before we get ahead of ourselves. Right now it's feeling okay, unless you got shafted, you're probably feeling like crap. Sorry about that. But from an objective standpoint of just seeing what they've produced for the Festival 2025, they're doing good. They're doing good. Honestly, gotta give it to them. They even dropped a free supporter, even though it's Buns, you know, the Scouter. They still dropped one, so that means we're going in the right direction. The part 2 and part 3 might be real make or breaks, because if the part 2 is bad, I think people can overlook it. It's still part 2 at the end of the day. But if the part 3 Ultra ain't bringing anything special, we're gonna go back to them talks, because once we get to January and February, the game slows down immensely again. So they're gonna have to bring up something that keeps us in the mood to play the game for the early points of the year, because I don't want Dragon Ball Legends to be a game that is only good twice a year, the anniversary and the festival. Another thing they've also brought up that's actually really good, the new summon animation. I know there's an argument of, oh, it's an animation that less than 1% of the player base will see. Well, do you know that a lot of people don't get the new units either? So if you don't see it, does it mean that it's not content for you? If you get shafted, that means it's not content for you. That means the festival's bad, right? That logic doesn't really hold up. So even though you might not see the new summon animation, I think the fact that it exists is enough to give them props. This animation is outrageously good, by the way. In the 7th anniversary, we got the MUI Beast one, and I remember saying that's probably one of the best things, if not the best thing to come out of the celebration. But this Super Gogeta Jiren animation is absolutely stunning. I think it's the best matchup possibly Dragon Ball could provide, because their fighting styles match each other. It's kind of like I mentioned, Jiren sends invisible attacks because of how powerful and fast they are, but then Gogeta moves so fast that he's invisible. So it's invisible stuff versus invisible stuff, and it's like, yo, that's super cool. And you see an animation and it just blows my mind. I love this animation. Have to say it's the best summon animation in Dragon Ball Legends. So yeah, let's just keep our hopes high. Maybe you shouldn't, do what you want, but overall, good job to the developers for starting off the Festival 2025 in a correct manner. Of course guys, you are entitled to your own opinion, but I think the general reception in the Dragon Ball Legends community is that the Festival Part 1 is great. It's great. Some people feel like it could be better, but they did a good job, and this is going to be remembered as, yeah, Gogeta really turned things up. I don't think it's gonna be one of the best Part 1s ever. I don't think it's anywhere close to that, but they did a good enough job to make us feel like this is solid. Shout out the synchro mechanic, man. It looks great. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you haven't already, make sure to press the subscribe button. We're on this grind to 200,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching, man. My name is Zakashi, guys, and I will see you guys in the next one, man.